Hi, this is Joanne Hewins from lovetocreate.typepad.com. Today I want to show you how to make this card, and it is combining the sets of Happiest of Birthdays. We'll be using this large stamp and also this one, and also the Well Done stamp set. We'll be using the jellyfish and these little dots with that. Also, our color combination for this is the Bermuda Bay, Coastal Cabana, and I've added in a little bit of Night of Navy. So let's get started with the card. And we have a card base that is 5.5 by 8.5. I've scored it at 4 1/4, and so we will just fold that. Need to make sure my corners are straight. And then I see I don't have my bone folder close by, so I'm just going to use a clear block and burnish that down. That's a good thing to use during an emergency when you don't have what you really need close by. Now the next piece that I'm going to have is a piece of Coastal Cabana. This is 4 by 5 1/4, and you can see that I have embossed it using the Seabed 3D embossing folder. Now I have the new Stampin Up cut and emboss machine, and so I wanted to show you. It's so nice that these are numbered, and it also gives you the recipe for the sandwich on the plates. So to emboss, it's telling me with a 3D embossing folder that I'm going to need this number 1, the base plate. Then I'm going to need my 3D folder with the paper inside. And then the last thing I'm going to need is plate number 4. There's the 4. And that would go on top. And I would just send that through the machine to emboss. So makes it very easy. Now that's the way you're going to do it if you have a 3D folder that says Stampin Up on it. If it has Sizzix, you're probably going to have a little bit of a different sandwich to go with that. So let me get this out of the way. And the next thing that we want to do is make this 3D folder stand out a little bit more. I want you to see all those little things that are in the embossing folder. So we are going to use a sponge dauber, our Bermuda Bay ink pad, and we are going to just ink or sponge around mostly the outside, because you can see the inside is pretty much going to be covered up. So I'm just getting some ink and inking up that outside part. Now I may not get the shade exactly the same all the way around. I noticed on my sample card, I'll show you in just a minute, that I didn't really get that the same all the way around, but you know the ocean isn't exactly the same color everywhere, so I don't think it really matters. And I probably have some darker spaces here, but I notice I've got some darker spaces. I don't think that's anything that's going to bother anything. So there we go. We've got that sponged up. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere that. I'm sorry, I had to go get some glue. Okay, so I'm just going to put glue on the back of that, and then it will go on the front of the card. And I'm going to turn it around like this. So you may want to look at it and see if there's an up and down orientation. It looks like things are going both ways on that, but I think that's the way I want it. And we are ready to work on this little label. So let me move out of the way. And I've already cut the label, and I used the Stitched So Sweetly dies. I used the largest one and cut that from Whisper White. Okay, so I have that already. And I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus to help me with this. Okay, so I've got my grid paper in there. I'm going to put an ink pad here to kind of hold that. And I actually had an extra piece of paper in here. I was trying to make sure I had my stamps on straight. So I'm going to take my grid paper, and I've already drawn off a rectangle. That kind of lets me know where I have this stamp set up so that I can get it in the middle. Okay, so that's going to fit on there nicely. And to color that, I'm going to be using Stampin Write markers. Now, the navy marker is from the Neutrals family, and the Bermuda Bay and Coastal Cabana are from the Brights family. So I also want to point out that there is a kind of a fat point and a skinny point on these markers. You'll see the same on our blends. And you can tell by the fatter line, there's a skinny line here, a bigger brush, a smaller brush here. We want to use the large brush, and we don't want to color right on the tip. We're going to do kind of on the side. So I'm going to color right on the stamp. And I seem to be missing more than I'm getting, but we'll be okay. And so I'm coloring with the lightest color. This is the Coastal Cabana. And I'm going to color about 1/3 of the way down. I think I'll get a little bit of these words right here. Okay, and I'm just going to stamp that. And I want it to be a little bit darker, so I'm just going to color over that again. Notice that I didn't get the top of that in very good, so I want to make sure that I get everything stamped well. So I'll make sure that that's covered in with my marker this time. Do a little bit of this U, and we'll stamp that again. Okay, that looks nice. So I'm going to actually pull in my chamois, and I'm going to clean that off a little bit. Now, because I'm going from a lighter color to darker colors, it's not quite as important that I would have to clean that off. I don't think that the Coastal Cabana would ruin my Bermuda Bay that much. Okay, so I'm going to begin coloring about where I left off with this marker. I think I'm going to get a little bit of that G, even though I think it's all printed, and a little bit of this F. Okay, so we'll stamp that. That looks pretty good, but I am going to go ahead and color that up and stamp it again. And we'll bring in the chamois and clean some of that off. And I'm not worried about getting that super good. I'll clean it up later when I'm done. And we are going to color in then the bottom of this. So this is going to take much longer to stamp than if you just stamped it all one color, but the ombre look is really pretty with this stamp, and I just wanted you to see it. Okay. And you also want to check and make sure that all of the letters are printed and colored entirely. I noticed on this one I didn't get the A so great or all of the Y in that, so I want to make sure that I do that with this next stamping to get all of that. Okay. So there we go, we have that done, and I'm just going to clean that later. Okay, so I'm going to pull that out, and I'm going to bring in a piece of Whisper White that is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to pull this up, turn it around, and now I have the It's Your Day, Enjoy It. And I think I'm going to need to pull this up a little bit. And we're going to do the same thing with these words. So I'm going to start with the lightest color, the Coastal Cabana. And we're just going to do about a third of this. Just kind of getting the tops of that. Okay. And then we'll do the Bermuda Bay. All right, and then we'll finish up with the navy, Night of Navy. I think it's about time to throw the chamois in the washing machine, clean it out first, the sink, and then I can add it to the washing machine and see if I can get some of that stuff out of there. Of course, it's going to stay stained, but I love the chamois. Okay, so I won't do that quickly again. And it looks like everything is stamped. So that is done. And the great thing about using the Stamparatus is that it's going to stamp right back in the exact same place. And I just love that ombre look. So we're ready to do some stamping. I'm going to bring in the jellyfish stamp, and the dots stamp. And I'll bring back in the Bermuda Bay. But I'm going to start with Coastal Cabana. And I'm going to do the jellyfish. And I'm going to stamp that off because I'm going to do it over the words. And I don't want the words to be obscured. So there we go. And I'm going to actually stamp that again up here for the inside. And I'm going to stamp it down here. Okay. And notice I did not stamp that one off. Okay. I'm going to clean that off a little bit. And we'll do another jellyfish in that color, the Bermuda Bay. And now we're going to do our dots. So what I'm going to do is just stamp some of these dots here and there. And I'm trying to turn that around so it's not always the same thing. And now I'm going to do some that are stamped off. In there. Okay, and then I'm going to do some of the dots on the inside. And then we'll do some that are stamped off. I think I'm going to do some in there since I kind of didn't get that first one stamped super great. And there, I think that's good enough. So we are ready to attach these pieces. And I think I'm going to start with the one that goes on the inside. We'll just glue that in. Okay. So there's the inside. And for the outside, we're going to be adding this with dimensionals. Let me pick up a few here. I'll put a couple here in the middle so that it doesn't sink in. And I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool to help me get those off pretty quickly. Oops. Got a little wild there. That's about as wild as I get. All right, so we want to kind of get this in the center as best we can. I always think I have them straight, and then once I lay them down, I'm thinking, why did I think that was straight? Not so sure that this one is straight. All right, the next thing we're going to do is use the turtle. Now this turtle is from the Whale of a Time Designer Series paper, and I'll just show you a few sheets. It's a very vibrant, love the colors in there. It's just a wonderful collection of papers that go with the ocean. And then the other side has just some a little bit more muted, maybe kind of a thing. But it's beautiful. I hope you'll consider that. And what I did is I cut out a few of the turtles and put them in a small baggie. We made this card in class, and they were able to choose the turtle that they wanted on here. So, you know, I think I'm going to put this one on. or wait a minute. That one's kind of big. That one's a little smaller. Maybe I'll put that one on. So I'm just going to take my snips and cut around this turtle. So give me just a couple of minutes to get that done. If I can, I like to leave just a little bit of a border around, but I don't know if you're like me or not. Some days I'm a better cutter than others. So you just about have to take what you're gonna get. So it looks like some of this looks pretty good and some of it, I probably could have done better. Now this turtle is going to be partially on the label and part off of the label. So let's see how we're going to handle that. You see where I think he needs to go. Oh, how about right in there. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of glue just on the top part of the turtle. And then I'm going to bring in a scrap of dimensional and put just a little bit down here on this little flipper to hold that. So I kind of like putting it on there so that you don't see the scallop sticking out under there. So I think I like it right like that. And then I want to add just a little something. Here it is. It needs a little sparkle on that turtle. So we're going to use our Wink of Stella. And I'm just going to paint that right on the turtle and give him a little bit of a sparkle. You probably can't tell so much from the camera, but it does add a lot to that. Okay, I don't know, can you see it? Maybe not. But that finishes up the card. So we have wishing you the happiest of birthdays, and then inside, it's your day, enjoy it. And again, we were using the Well Done stamp set and the Happiest of Birthdays stamp set, and the Stamparatus to give us this ombre look. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I do sell the products that I show, and if you are interested in purchasing, there will be links under my YouTube video that tells you how to get to my store, and I sure would appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching today. Bye-bye.